morning. Geez, the early bird catches the worm, they say, but geez. I'm an early riser. That's for damn sure. I'm usually generally a 5 o'clocker, whether I like it or not. It seems like no matter what time I go to bed, I'll pretty much get up the same time. Some people are really afforded this ability to, sleep in. It's not like you got to get up for a job or go to school. Neither of the above apply to me, so it's not really a great thing. I'm a 6-hour sleeper, that's it. No matter what time I go to bed, I'm up at 6 hours later. It's really amazing. Well, there's reasons for that too, but I won't go into that. But yeah, I'm an early riser. And gosh, I remember the days that when I was working, I'd go to bed a certain time, and then I'd get up early in the morning, but certainly a lot later than 5 o'clock, generally, according to what time I had to go to work. And on the days I didn't work, I'd be able to sleep in certainly until after 8 in the morning, which seems like an eternal amount of time compared to now, Anyway, geez, listen to me. Probably say, what does this guy do up so early doing a show? Well, I get up early. And when my mind is fresh in the morning, I always like to do shows when I get up. Seems like there's other people up too, but more likely they're not in the Philippines. That's how I know. Because most people, if they're going to be in the Philippines, they're not going to be up this early. I'll guarantee you that. Unless they just can't sleep very well. So I know a lot of my audience. A lot of my audience is not from the Philippines. I have to do a poll sometime, actually, when my show is on at a time where I get most of my viewers. And maybe I could run that poll. Scott Ingram, King of Hatred. Well, I'm sorry you think that way, Scott. No, I'm not going to remove your comment. Let's wrap. King of Hatred, enjoying human suffering. What human suffering am I? Talk to me, Scott. Human suffering. How am I suffering? I'd certainly like to know. King of Hatred. Well, I'm not the one that goes around 3-4 years calling somebody a child molester. I'm not the one that does copycat shows strictly for hatred purposes. I don't know what you call, how you define hatred, Scott. But I call a spade a spade. So you want to elaborate a little more, Scott? The King of Hatred. See, I'm not removing your comment. I'm going to challenge you. Enjoying human suffering. Oh, not my suffering. I know. I see what you're trying to say now. The fact that I put somebody in incarceration for some extreme violations, defaming, threatening, other things like that. So, in other words, I don't have the right to do that, is what you're probably implying. Is that what it is, Scott? But then again, Scott, you're not in my shoes, are you, Scott? No, of course not. You just follow the cattle, don't you, Scott? Of course you do. You follow the cattle. Oh, if somebody says, somebody did this or did that, you're one of these people that are very shallow that are probably going to believe that without evidence. Right, Scott? Like the cattle, you want to go with the rest of the cattle. Unbelievable. That is not being straight up. That is being evil and hateful. Tell me how. Then you ignore it and blame others that do it on a smaller scale. Small scale? There's no smaller scale here on YouTube. They just lay it out. The hate flows, Scott. People like yourself. Yeah, I know your name. You've been on YouTube for a long time. You've been around for a long time. I know who you are. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, Scott. But then again, you don't know me personally. You know I've been on YouTube for a long time, right, Scott? You've heard all the bickering that goes on YouTube, and where a lot of the hate is directed to me. But do you ever think of why, Scott? Did you ever think of why? That these people are inadequate, that they're miserable with their lives like you. Just for you to come on and put a statement like that. I'm going to read it again. Awesome. A live stream from the King of Hatred and enjoying. No, I don't enjoy human suffering, certainly not my own. But I'm not suffering from anything, if that's what you mean. But if it's meant otherwise, meaning that I'm enjoying other people's suffering, well, I think you got that wrong. Let's see. Look how you talked of Warren and Fazio, laughing and happy about a painful death. Painful death? Well, first of all, Scott, what you don't understand is that Warren is not dead. Warren did not die, okay? Secondly, Fazio, as far as a painful death, no, he went peacefully. His heart stopped, had a blood infection. Sure, his foot was probably hurting, but he's had that for years. It's his own stupidity, Scott Ingram, that he didn't take care of the problem when he could have. He'd still be alive today. So you better kind of rephrase some of the things you're writing on here, because you're not making any sense. I wasn't really laughing and happy about Fazio dying. I'm very indifferent to it. He wasn't a friend. He did some pretty evil shit to me. Oh, but the shoe's not on the other foot, Scott Ingram, is it? If he had done to you what he did to me, such as another fella, guess maybe you'd understand, but you're not wearing my shoes, are you, Scott? But thank you for your comments. It's nice to know how you think. I don't mind you making a statement like that. But unfortunately, you have to back up something like that. Scott Ingram. Yeah, I know who you are. I know the name. Look how you talked of Warren H. and Fazio, laughing and happy about a painful death. Listen to this guy's statements rating cats and dogs. This is Scott Ingram. He's been on YouTube for a while. If you read what he says and react to that. Scott says, awesome, a live stream from the King of Hatred. You gotta define that. King of Hatred? No, if anything, a lot of that has been bestowed on me from YouTubers who seemingly are very miserable, and they want somebody else to feel it's just as miserable as they are, right, Scott? Like you? Then, I studied the narcissist. He says, that is not being straight up. That is being evil and hateful. Then you ignore it and blame others that do it on smaller scale. There you go, Scott. This is a guy that listens to me all the time called Raining Cats and Dogs. How easily people point the finger of blame to others, Scott. And you're one of them, among many. Nobody was mocking the death of Michael Fazio. The life, perhaps, because what the man did, not just to me, but a lot of people, that would be considered, Scott, hatred. That would be considered coming from a very miserable person, a very lonely person that didn't have much of a life. And his whole entire life was YouTube. Not part of his life, like people like me and others, but his entire life. Now, of course, you could feel sorry for him because he was lonely. And yeah, I do have compassion for that. I talk about loneliness all the time on here, and how there's a lot of people that are in that position, and that it's very sad, Scott. Well, I'm sorry you feel that way, Scott. Raining Cats and Dogs says, as if you're the only one talking about it. What about Kevin, right? What about Popeye? What about Ricky? You're not talking about them, Scott, are you? So do you think Ricky is right in what he did? Do you think Ricky was right on slapping Fazio? And everything else Ricky does, scamming people out of money for a so-called purpose, but it goes in his pocket to pay for cell phones for a girlfriend? Why not pick on them, Scott? Why are you targeting me? Why, Scott? Yeah, you're right, Raining Cats and Dogs. You're absolutely right. Look at Popeye, how hateful he is. But you're not attacking Popeye, are you, Scott? No, you're not. I think before you make a blanket statement like that, Scott, you need to examine where it's coming from. Like what you say is a matter of interpretation. Your interpretation, not everybody's. Kevin and Popeye were reasonably respectful. No, they were not. Ricky is a psychopath. Is that really who you want to compare to? Oh, you're the one that's calling me names on here. I didn't come on and talk hateful about anybody, did I? You decided to see me on, and you decided to come on your own accord and start attacking me. So, pot calling the kettle black, perhaps, Scott? I know, they're all holier than thou, Raining Cats and Dogs. I know, that's the way it is on here. That's the way it is. Scott don't have much to say, and he can't back up what he says either. Listen to that. Scott says, Kevin and Popeye. Oh, in regard to Fazio's death, I guess Scott's saying, right? Yeah. Right, at least I debate, they delete. Very well put. I'll allow the debate. When people don't want to hear truthful comments, they delete or they block somebody. When they are trying to pose a question to somebody, like, why don't you answer this? I don't need to listen to this. I'm going to block you. I see that all the time. I used to block people a lot. A little different reason why I block them. Because they were just going to interrupt my channel. I've always challenged anybody on here. Hey, say what you want to say, but back it up. If you couldn't back it up, you're just going to be an asshole, I would block you. That's what I did. Now, I didn't block you, did I, Scott? I could have seen your first comment and said, or just blocked you. And I gave you a chance to define what you're talking about. But I didn't remove you from the channel, did I? I gave you an opportunity to say what you had to say and back up what you had to say, Scott Ingram. There you go. Not much to say now, Scott, huh? I like that. Kevin and Popeye were reasonably respectful. Ricky is a psychopath. Is that really who you want to compare to? No, you're making comparisons, not me. But then look what you just. Well, Ricky is a psychopath. Would we be lying about that? I'm glad you recognize that, though. Maybe there's hope for you after all, Scott Ingram. Anyway, hello, rating cats and dogs. Early in the morning, this is what I'm faced with here. Try to come on, put a good show on, and an idiot like this, who's basically trying to label me as this and that, is doing the same thing that he's accusing me of. He could have came on here and said hello or something. No. His first statement, he comes on here, awesome, a live stream from the king of hatred and enjoying human suffering. Well, that's a nice how do you do. So who's the antagonist here? Not me. I'm just doing a show. That's the first statement he had to put on here when he saw I had a live show. So who's the antagonist here? Me or Scott Ingram? See? Miko says, Frank, did you see that short Brevis digging hole on a beach? That kid is, what was that hole in the beach supposed to be for? Fazio's grave or something? What was the statement that Brevis was trying to make on that? Scott Ingram says, I don't hate you. I just feel sorry you can be so horribly nasty to people and not recognize it. Oh, let me answer that. Scott, no. What you say, I can be so horribly nasty to people and not recognize it. Oh, I recognize everything I'm doing, Scott. You call it being so horribly nasty. Scott, since I've been on YouTube, and it's the truth, only thing I've ever done on here, which was stupid even to defend yourself to anybody on here, really, Scott. Good morning. But all I would do, Scott, I would just defend myself. That's all I used to do, which was stupid. And it was worthless to do that, because who I'm dealing with on here, people like you. That's all I ever did, You say you don't hate me, but you just feel sorry. You can be so horribly nasty to people and not recognize. No, I recognize what I'm doing, Scott. Believe me. And my information, Scott Ingram, is derived from people's own shows. Their own shows. What they say, what I see visibly on their own show, Scott Ingram. So how can my information be wrong? If I'm going to make a judgment on anybody, it's going to be based on experience, Scott, which is what people should do instead of just pointing a finger. See how that works? Gabrielle says, Scott, you can't recognize how dark and twisted a guy like Fazio was off YouTube. He was a miserable instigator full of hate. See, people recognize this. The majority of opinion here, Scott. No, you maybe don't know what Fazio did with me. Or maybe you don't know the whole story. Maybe you heard drips and drabs, but you really don't know. So ride up, you come up here and make a judgment on here out of the blue. The first person to make a statement, and you're accusing me of being hateful, but what do? Look at your comment. The first thing you put on there, you were attacking me, Scott. See? This is what I mean. Marvelous Mark says, I don't think he's mean to be hateful so much, Scott. Oh, I think the tormenting of years gets to him and loses his cool. Well, there's some truth to that too, Marvelous Mark. I'm not going to deny what you just said. I think you've been tormented on YouTube for so long that I think you develop a very low tolerance level. So there's some truth to what he said. Yeah. Gabrielle says, Scott, these people doing tributes for Fazio are just to get views. You're right. I'm surprised you can't recognize that. Kevin and Popeye trashed Fazio for years. And they did, Scott. They did. Yeah, and Popeye only became friends with Fazio because of Aloe. Because Aloe, who goes back and forth on the old proverbial fence, has been both pro and con against Fazio. Yeah. So what do you say to that, Scott? I got some backup here with people that understand what's going on. But you just blatantly came on my show, Scott. And you're acting just like the people that I'm talking about. and you're acting like what you're accusing me of. How did two rights make a wrong, Scott? How? You just came on and attacked me, is what you did, Scott. I haven't said anything yet on my show, and what was I even going to talk about? But boom, you see I had a live stream on, the first thing I had to do is go make a comment like that. How fair was that? Miko says, Frank, Michael took a dim view of the big ego. I know. Scott Ingram comes back and says, I don't think he needs tribute. I just think totally trashing a guy that died. Well, Scott, you support people like Popeye and those people? What happened when Mike Cason died? You're forgetting that, Scott Ingram, aren't you? That Popeye said the only way he's going to get out of the hospital is with a toe tag on, and how they reran his video to music and taunting him, his dead body that they displayed that was on the hospital bed. But you don't think of those things either. So these people are wonderful people, Scott, right? But yet you choose to come on here and taunt me. What about Aloe talking about fucking kids up the ass and killing people? Popeye with his nasty statements. Roberto with all his nasty statements. Statements like, if he ever seen me in the street, he'd want to beat me up, but he'd consider causing bodily harm to my woman. So you think that's right, Scott? So you're over here pointing a finger to me? You just blatantly just come on my show out of the blue? And basically you start attacking my character, which means you're not any better than anybody else. Raining Cats and Dogs said, look, through the years, I listened to both sides. Then I went with Frank because he was talking the truth. Gabrielle says, taking money for a hotel you never planned to build is also a horrible thing. See, Scott, people are backing me up here. Gabrielle says, conning a lonely man like Warren out of thousands of dollars is also a horrible thing. So you're sticking up for Warren in some sense, and Fazio, but it was a play-for-play thing between both of them. They were using each other, but Michael Fazio used Warren for thousands of dollars. But maybe Scott Ingram maybe weren't aware of that. No, he just wanted to target somebody. Pick and choose, spin the wheel. Oh, okay, Frank's on. Let's attack him. Or let's believe what the cattle say. You know how cattle work, Scott Ingram? Do you know how cattle work? Well, I'll tell you how cattle work. They follow each other, Scott. And you're part of the cattle that comes up with ridiculous accusations, okay? Backed up by nothing except hearsay. You're one of these people that's very shallow, that because somebody says something rotten about somebody, okay, it must be true. I work differently, Scott. I work with proven situations. That's how I work. If I talk about somebody, it's because I must have heard it. I must have seen it visually and audibly on their show. That's the difference between me and other people, Scott. Come on. I commented because I saw it all on Frank's videos on the hate channel. Oh, so you like listening to hate channels? That kind of stuff attracts you, huh, Scott? Which tells me you're no better than them, Scott. And as you can see from his comments on here, he's no better than the people who put on the hate channel. There you go. Scott is actually pretty much admitting or exhibiting that he's no better than these people he's talking about. Raining Cats and Dogs says, there you all go. Chopped up to make Frank look bad. Scott, the sheep, Ingram. Scott, the sheep, Ingram. You're part of the sheep. You're part of the cattle. Congratulations. Scott, I know who you are. And through the years, I've seen all your comments on shows, and they were not very well taken. I've heard you attacking people too, Scott Ingram. My memory is not that bad. So you come on my show to attack me? Normally, you'd be blocked. But as you see, I'm a fair person. I'm actually giving you an opportunity, ain't I, Scott, to allow you to say what you have to say. And right now, the consensus of opinion for the few people that are on my show is that you're full of shit, that you're not any better than the other people that you're making reference to. But no, you attack me because you could, right? Right, Scott? No, I'm not making fun of somebody's death. Apparently you don't listen very well on my shows. Give me a second here. Good morning, dear. Now, how fair is that, Scott? How fair is that? I know, life ain't fair, Scott. I understand that. But you're making these assumptions, and you're making these accusations based on what? On what? Hearsay? Is that what you're doing? Join the cattle, Scott? Scott the sheep. They're all sheep on here. They're all sheep. They're all sheep. Hey, Scott, let me ask you something. How would you like, you got a family, Scott? You got a family? I'll assume you do. Got a question for Scott. Scott, you got a family, okay? Maybe you got a good job or a good position in the community, and somebody comes out and calls you a child molester, Scott. Is that something you think you would tolerate, Scott? Because, social media gets out to thousands of people, right, Scott? So am I a hateful person for putting a legal case against the guy who did it? Or anybody else that might do shit like that? Is it not my right? Scott Ingram? Oh yeah, you got a dossier. I know who you are, Scott. I've seen through the years your comments. You're not new to me, Scott. You're not new to me. You make me feel brand new. You know what? The more negative comments that anybody puts toward me, the stronger I become. True. I know you don't like to hear that, but very true. It gives me strength. The truth is straight. That's right. The truth shall set you free, Scott. Ever think about that? It says, you try something with me, I have plenty of assets, and you won't like. Oh, now Scott is threatening me. Now, I'm the bad guy, but Scott is coming on here threatening me. Oh, I have plenty of assets. So, what about your assets? What? What, Scott? Assets. And you won't like the outcome. The outcome of what, Scott? Scott, you're sounding like the people you're talking about. Or you're sounding like what you're trying to accuse me of. Listen, nobody's threatening you, Scott. Did I threaten you on here? But you just came on. Didn't he, folks? What he just said. You try something with me, I have plenty of assets. Well, you can't spell, first of all, assets. You spelled it wrong. You don't have a lot of intelligence, apparently. You might have assets, as it's properly spelled, but you don't have the intellect to be able to spell the word properly, do you? Yes, I know, Corso. Not only is Warren H. still around, but he has a channel here on YouTube. Yeah, he goes to different names. Ignite is one of his, well, it's not recent, but he's had that for a while. Warren is Ignite, if you couldn't figure that out. Apparently you don't know much, Scott. But I love that statement you made. Let's all look at Scott's statement, everyone that's on here. There's 52 people. Scott just said, if you try something with me, I have plenty of assets. Oh, you corrected that, huh? And you won't like the outcome. Really, Scott? What did I do to you, Scott? I told the truth, Scott? And you got very defensive, as many people do on here when you present the truth to them. They become little crybabies. Are you becoming a crybaby, Scott? Hey, you're lucky I'm allowing you to make these comments. You probably expected different. I was going to block you or something, right? But I didn't block you, Scott, because I want my viewers to hear what you have to say and see what a moron you are, to see what a hateful person you are, something that you're, ironically, accusing me of, Scott Ingram. 50, I got almost 50 witnesses on here. What do you say to that, Scott? I think you're outnumbered here. Oh, Scott. Well, I'm sorry if your life ain't going that well. That you had to find the precious time out of your life to come on here, and the first thing you do is attack me. Which goes to prove everybody wrong about me. That I'm a reasonable person. See, I'm listening to Scott. I allowed him to make his comments. Haven't I, folks, right? Did I not? I didn't block him. Right, yeah. Another troll came in here and says, you're no better, Frank. Look at your hate comments on Big Kevin's show. Well, were they hateful comments or were they truthful comments? There's a big difference between being hateful and truthful. And you have to find that fine line. You have to find a definition of what's a hateful comment. There's a big difference. When somebody calls you a name, the first thing you examine, if they're calling you a name, is there truth to what they're saying? That's the big difference, Mr. Scott Ingram, and to Mr. Cole Dreaming. That is the big difference. Is what I say the truth, or is it not the truth? If it's the truth, then it's really nothing hateful. We're just kind of reflecting that person and what they say and do with their time on social media. Like everybody's innocent. Everybody wants to take the high road, Scott. Are you taking the high road, Scott? Gabriel says, Kevin talks trash about everyone, but I bet Callie Dreaming won't call him out. Yeah, Kevin trashes everyone. He's even trashed my girlfriend many times. The horse thing, the actual toy that looks like a little romper room horse. Oh no, Kevin's innocent. No, Kevin is one of the biggest antagonizers on YouTube. But I allowed Scott to have something to say. Scott Ingram says, I know I'm right. He is unbalanced. He's like most toxic narcissists. Uses truth as an excuse to behave. That was a convoluted statement that doesn't make you look very well here. Listen, let's read what you just said here, Scott. Like a little baby, you go, I know I am right. Listen, let's read his statement. Let's read Scott's statement. I know I am right. He is unbalanced. He, like most toxic narcissists, uses truth as the excuse to be hateful and evil. That's a convoluted statement right there, Scott. Reread what you just wrote. Narcissist? Oh my God, I'm the absolute opposite of that. You always hear me say it, I'm one of my biggest self-critics. If you criticize yourself, you can't be a narcissist, Scott. Let me define, what a narcissist is. But your ideology of what a narcissist is completely convoluted. Completely. Kevin only responds in kind to people that... No, he doesn't. Kevin is the biggest antagonist on here, and you know that. And everybody who follows me knows that too. Anybody who's ever seen Kevin's show. Kevin likes to trigger people. It's all for money. It's all for views. It's all for subs. And if you can't see that, Scott, well, I don't know what to tell you. No, Kevin is not innocent. He's never been innocent, even before YouTube. How do you think he got that bolo knife in his head? You're really going to follow that story that he told you? No. He probably screwed somebody else's woman is what he probably did. He was a womanizer. He drank a lot. He chased tail a lot. And he probably got what he deserved. What do you say to that, Scott? Listen to Scott's statement. Kevin only responds in kind to people that trash him. Boy, are you convoluted, Mr. Ingram. You are really convoluted. Right. Raining Cats and Dogs says, well, so does Frank. Okay, let's listen to Scott Ingram's new statement. Frank sometimes does go to hate in response. Sometimes he starts it. However, he goes over the top with the hate in response to any tiny slight that he perceives. Well, now you're talking about perception, Scott. You're talking about perception. How somebody perceives something compared to somebody else's perception of something. Is it reality? Is it truth? There's a big difference between someone being hateful and somebody making an observation based on what he actually heard, actually seen, Scott. You can't change that. If it was heard and seen, you can't change that. That's an action that is already transacted. Okay, and you can't change that. You can't change what they say. Oh, you could do an edited show or something and change people's words. You could even use different forms of editing to put somebody's voice on something of something they never said. Oh, that's never been done on here, has it, Scott? It certainly has. Well, it's like this, Scott, and maybe you're a person that likes to be abused. Maybe you get off on that shit. But you know what, Scott? You don't wear my shoes. You couldn't shine my shoes either. But my point being, if you had a family, okay, and you want to protect your reputation, like anybody does, you're not going to be really happy about somebody coming on here as a good example of the guy that's sitting in jail right now. And we're going to get to something on that too soon. Someone's calling you a child molester. Would qualify somebody being a child molester? Did they rape a child? Did they touch a child? What did they do? Oh, you mean this thing about a mushroom song, Scott? A song, Scott, where no bodily parts were identified as its defining words anatomically, and you think that's a crime? A song, right, Scott? A song. So someone's going to be a child molester because they sang a song that had to do with somebody else, and the wordage that was used was very, very tame and was actually in respect of the fact that there was a child of a young age there? No, it wasn't. Hey, pee-pee. I use that terminology all the time. So does my girlfriend. Hey, I gotta go pee-pee. I gotta go pee-pee. I really didn't know that pee-pee was a hateful word. I didn't know that was a sexual thing, Scott Ingram. I had no idea. Now, if I turned around and I used some graphic language and actually called an anatomical part some of the slang words that we refer to them as, something that begins with C, or even its actual anatomical word called penis, I could say that. I never said anything like that, Scott Ingram. Now, I'm bringing this up, not you. I initiated this particular example, Scott Ingram. You didn't, but I am bringing it up because I was waiting for you to get there. And Scott says, no, it was the circumstances of singing it with an 8-year-old boy in private company. Dude, right next door to the parents. My brother, who's an adult, was sitting right on the deck, 12 feet away. Open sliding door, living room, Scott. Private? No. Hidden? No. In a bedroom? No, he doesn't have a bedroom. Living room, Scott. But we're not going to dwell on this. That's old hat. I'm baiting you, Scott. And you don't see it. I'm baiting you. You see, I'm the one that brought this up. I baited you. I wanted to get a response from you. That's exactly what I did. Scott Ingram. Gabriel says, laughing my ass off, Scott. You're so cringy. Yeah, he certainly is. Certainly is. Okay, Scott. We've allowed you to be on this long. That's pretty good for me. Have to go. Phone ringing now. Yeah, right. Scott just can't handle the comeback I've had. Very clever comeback, don't you think, guys? I put this guy in a position he wasn't expecting. How does that feel? How does that feel, Scott? I got the best of you, Scott, and you know it. My phone is ringing. I have to go. No, man. I outdid what you said. I presented the truth in front of you and you couldn't handle it, Scott. That's exactly what I did. Pretty clever of me, huh? How I handled this, folks? I think so. Speaking of, I may have an announcement later today. Speaking of people who have done me wrong, who have clearly done me wrong. But you see, Scott Ingram doesn't think that way. Because you see, Scott Ingram is not wearing my shoes. But I guarantee you that if Scott Ingram, who perhaps has a wife or significant other, or maybe children, a family, peers, whatever, if Scott Ingram has somebody on social media which has a potential for thousands and thousands of people to see, if he was labeled as a child molester, I don't think Scott Ingram is going to be saying what he's saying to me right now, or what he tried to portray, this deluded image, this unfounded, accusatory verbiage that he came on my channel, one of the first commenters, instead of a hello, Frank, decided to attack me. Well, now I'm sure he wishes he didn't, because I chased him away. His phone was ringing. I gotta go. Yeah, that's the way it works, Scott, when you're confronted with the truth. See, the truth hurts a lot of people, Scott Ingram. It really does. When they have to reflect upon themselves and what they do, and they realize what somebody's saying about them is actually the truth, that it's not hearsay or made up, or just coming from a person that just doesn't happen to like you, or, having to be somebody that follows the cattle and can't think on his own accord. So they have to believe everything they hear on social media. Really? Scott, are you married? You know your wife well enough? What if somebody said that your wife is cheating on you? Well, how about that's a good one, Scott Ingram? What if somebody accused your wife of being a cheater in a relationship? And you know your wife real well, right? You know to yourself, my wife would never cheat on me. That would be hurtful for you, wouldn't it? Right? Because you love your wife and you know her better than anybody else, right, Scott? And you know she'd never cheat on you, right, Scott? Well, you would hope she wouldn't. But as far as you know of your wife, as an example, she's a good lady. She loves me. She would never cheat on me. You know what, Scott? I don't think you'd probably like to hear that. You're going to say, how dare you accuse my wife of being unfaithful to me? And Scott, you wouldn't be very happy, would you, Scott? Now maybe you understand, Scott Ingram. Jeez, guys. Raining Cats and Dogs said you spoke well. Corsico said you should engage your audience more often. It's good. I try to. It's too early for breakfast. It's really early. I'm just having a cup of tea. I don't even have my witch's brew in here. It's just simply some green tea. Normally, I'm probably gonna have to put something in here again. There's certain ingredients I put in my tea for various reasons. Not just to decorate my cup of tea. There's actually certain ingredients I fortify my tea with. Hey guys, this is a great lesson. I'm glad there's so many people on to hear this. Scott came on and I took care of him too sweet, didn't I? I presented him with the truth that he didn't want to hear, didn't I? I challenged him, didn't I? I allowed him to talk, didn't I? Didn't I? I did. I most certainly did. Breakfast today, probably not going to be much. I don't know. I'm just, cereal actually is not the healthiest thing in the world, actually. A lot of it is fortified with sugar and really a lot of carbohydrates, which can turn to sugar. So But it's a better alternative to eating some fatty piece of pork bacon or something. Give me credit for a little bit on something, you know. Eggs are fine. You could have a couple of eggs a day, every single day, even 3 eggs, maybe even 4 eggs a day, and it'll still be good for you. You just don't want to go over this certain, there's these LDL, there's this different lipid levels that you just don't want to go above. As far as cholesterol is concerned anyway, let's go back to cholesterol. You don't want to have too much cholesterol because your body needs cholesterol and utilize it. But if you have too much cholesterol, that's a problem. But eating several eggs a day, it's actually very healthy. Eggs are one of the most nutritious foods in the world. But we're going to get off that subject. Let's see. Did I mention that Mr. Korska, did I mention that I saw Warren H. accidentally posting as Abel Hornet? He's used that name Abel before. That's how I know it's him. Yeah, he goes into different names. Ignite is one of them too. Yeah, he never expired. He actually paid a couple of people. Sweet Skates he paid some money to, and Barry Jordan he paid money to spread the word. He didn't give him a lot of money, but he gave him these little bonus things. Keep up the charade, and I'll reward you. Yeah, the guy didn't know this. See, Warren made a fool of himself, and that's when he tried to get people announced that he was dead. He couldn't come back. He could not come back on as Warren H. anymore. All these years now, he couldn't go back because it proved him to be a liar. Warren has never left. And how do we know it's Warren? Oh, it's very easy. As to what he says, how he phrases his sentences, the things he has to say. I mean, it's so easy with some people. It's really easy. Warren never died. And he never had this terminal cancer that he claimed he had either. Never. And they're going to attack me. Really. Go after the people that deserve to be attacked. I'm just a dude just trying to put a show on here. I can't help it if there's a certain amount of envy and jealousy going on because I'm actually living in the Philippines. I've actually achieved what I wanted to achieve, and that bothers some people. Why? You might ask, even if you don't. It's because they haven't gotten to that level yet. They might not even they're not even ready for their retirement to come out here. Or maybe they're not financially able to get settled out here. There's a lot of reasons people have why they get envious of other people. Maybe they tried to meet a good woman out here, they just couldn't find anybody interested in them. And they're jealous that somebody actually got their shit together, right? Right, boys? Yeah, that's a well-known Warren account, yeah. Oh, Norman Wonder, I'm sorry, I didn't acknowledge you, so. Norman Wonder. So early, huh? Oh, the light's light out. Okay, have a good day. Be careful if you're riding a bike. Okay? Be a defensive driver. All right. Be careful. Okay. Okay, of course, let me go back to this. Did I mention that I saw Warren H. accidentally posting as Abel Hornet? He forgot to change over to his other soccer account. Boy, you people are really gullible out there. All the people that really believed that Warren H. died. God, what you knew? Goodness. And then you said, that's a well-known Warren sock account. Yes, it is. Very observant, Gabrielle. Very observant. Yeah, Abel, he's used that many times. Yeah, he got caught with his pants down. See what happens after a while? And right after he reposted it on Swampcast. This is an excellent show this morning, Ashley. Excuse me, I gotta fortify my tea here. So hold on a second here. Good morning. No, I didn't put everything in there. It's gonna be black pepper, intensified, cheese, Okay, guys, I'm back. I had to do something to my tea here. So what did we just experience this morning? We saw Scott Ingram making a total ass of himself. A total ass. He couldn't back up any one of his statements. Couldn't back up any one of his statements. Obama for president. Yeah, that'll happen. That'll certainly happen. I know. It's all right. There's going to be some news maybe today, guys. That's why I came on. I just have to verify it. And don't ask me what it is. I will, when I get the verification of something, Don't try to, squeeze it out of me right now. But sometime today, I'm going to make an announcement. And you might like to hear it. But I have to do the verification first and make sure I got the facts right. But you're all going to be very pleased if it's... I pretty much already know, but I have to double verify it with my attorney. But yeah, I'm going to come out with something today, I think, probably today, that some of you might like to hear. But I have to have, I got to double verify it with my attorney though. But I might have an announcement today. Well, it's, when Scott Ingram comes to my show, he's a fan. Nobody forces anybody to come to my show. It's very voluntarily. I must have something to say that they like, because why would anybody come to my show? I'll be honest, there's a lot of shows out there that I don't go to because I don't feel they have anything interesting to say, or their topic matters are probably not in line with my line of thoughts and interests and so forth and so on. But people do come to my show, so I must be pretty relevant. I must be, well, I think I've arrived. That's the word I like to use, is I've actually arrived. If I'm so popular and people like to talk about me. Controversial, some people call me very controversial. Well, sure, that's a good word. Controversial. Is it because of the fact that I grabbed the bull by the horns? Nothing wrong with grabbing the bull by the horns, unless you want to get you want to get gored by the bull's horns. I don't think you'd want that. Joseph Bean said, British Scott Ingram is back. Yeah, he was making comments on my show. I just now removed him, but I allowed him. He chickened out and said, oh, I gotta go, I got a phone call. But he was attacking me left and right. Left and right. No backup. I caught him by surprise. And I laid it on him in a very kind way, in a very intelligent way, in a very approachable way. And he went running off. Yeah, Scott Ingram, yeah, he was. He was. Joseph Bean says, okay, British Scott Ingram is back. Remember him? Frank, he used to vlog years ago, bald guy. Yeah, I know who he is. I know exactly who he is. Absolutely. Hello, Mason. You a subscriber? You must be new. You must be new. You make me feel brand new. Welcome to my show, Mason. Welcome. Yeah, we're going to possibly have an announcement today, if you just tuned in. I just have to do some verification on something, okay? I can't say what it is now because I have to double verify, because I want to be accurate on what I have to say later today, hopefully later today. And I'm not giving any hints or anything on my show either. But I might have something very pertinent to say today. I'm not going to give a clue what it is. Avengers, hello, 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 hello. Hello, it's me. Long, long time. Actually, I like, what's her name's show? Hello. Oh, what's her fucking name? Singer. I can't say my brain cells are all firing at once in the morning, I can tell you that. Adele. Her song is one of my favorites. I forgot that's in the title or whatever it is, but, hello is in the lyrics. It's kind of a haunting theme. There's something I like about that. Of course, go moved but not to Bicketon. Moved but not to Bicketon because of the case. Huh? What are you talking about? Corsaprio. What are you trying to say? Corsario. Don't be cryptic. Okay. Mason, are you attacking me? Oh, then you have to go if that's meant for me. Boomerang. Hobgoblin is being moved. Is he? Do you know something I don't know? I never said that. Speculate all you want. I haven't said a word yet. Jesus Christ, give me an opportunity. Sniff, sniff. Okay. Welcome morning. No, I haven't said anything yet in regards to anything, so don't speculate anything. I'll have something to say. Probably be today. More than likely today. At a later show. Okay. I could be talking about anything. Who knows? I might be pregnant or something. You never know. I mean, you don't know what I'm going to talk about. Bummer only bathes on laundry day. It might seem that way, huh? But let's not put him in as a topic right now. Thank you. We have a kind of a legal case going on right now, in the process anyway. So that kind of stuff we have to keep down on my show, and I've kind of talked to you guys about it before. I'm not jeopardizing the case by, I will never show paperwork, nothing like that anymore. I will never do any of that. The details of the case are within the court system. I can make certain statements about things without revealing things like evidence or things like that. That's okay. Certain things just wouldn't be proper. Oh, every other laundry day. Okay. Do a Warren H tribute. No, I just give him the New York Raspberry. That's I give him, if you know what the New York Raspberry is. The Raspberry Award. Yeah, Warren's a pretty sick guy. He played a big part, too, in something. Him and Fazio actually together. The information system had to do with my tenants and all that. Warren was a participant in this, too. Warren was a participant on trying to get me busted or something or go to jail and all that. Oh, yeah, Warren played his part. The funny thing, though, Warren gave me money several occasions. See how people are psychologically imbalanced on here? One minute they're giving their money, just like John Blaze was giving me money for a lawyer that turns on me. And Warren is giving me all this personal information about Michael Fazio and even giving me and Gil the money voluntarily, never asked him. And then he turns on us too. So there's a lot of psychological misfits out there. They're athletes. They're all athletes. They know how to jump over that fence real well, no matter how fat or beast they are. It simply amazes me to this day how they can jump these fences. I can't even jump these fences, but they're like gazelles. They're like gazelles. Chloe says, I love your videos. Well, thank you, Chloe. Boomerang says, I kind of miss Mr. Fazio. Well, Chloe says, I'm subscribing. Thank you, Chloe. Appreciate it. Whoever you are. You got to understand my skepticism on here, because a lot of people go into sock accounts on here. And they'll claim to be very friendly with me on here, but they're actually somebody that actually doesn't like me a lot. Trying to pretend to be friendly with me. But I have, I always have that 1% doubt with anything in life. I don't care what the subject is, what's about it. I always have 1% doubt. It protects me. Gabrielle says, I missed the hypocrisy of Fazio. It was funny watching him lie. Oh, God, did he do that very well. Should be in the Grand National. If anybody was a narcissist, boy, that guy was one of the biggest narcissists on here in history. His idea of what a real man was, he just never lived the life of a real man. See how the psychology works on there? Their actions prove their deficits. Think about what I just said. I just made that up. It just came out of my head. What a great line. Their actions prove their deficits. Wow, and that just came out of my head. I'm going to say it again. Wow, their actions prove their deficits. Wow, pretty good one. Mark it down. Will you, raining cats and dogs, so I don't forget that. He built a great hotel in his mind. It's called mental illness. There's a lot of that on here. Can you imagine, and like we call it the copycat channel. We got people going under my name, and you got the Swampcast channel, which is more current. Did they spend that kind of time copying whatever somebody puts on and maybe adding a little notation or graphics or a little extra verbiage? Imagine if people have time on their hands like that to do that. Talk about penis envy. Well, let's just call it penis envy. It's not envy because of penis, but it sounds good. They're so envious or unhappy with the fact that somebody is happy and got their ducks in a row and they're living the life that they want to live, but that bothers them. Why does that bother them? Raining cats and dogs and everybody else? Why does that bother them? Because it be perhaps that they're living a miserable life. They're just not happy until somebody else is unhappy. Isn't that what it really is? Okay. Yeah, he's absolutely deranged. Oh, I figured he'd be on Discord. We'll record him. Wes says that, Frank, you don't know me. Likely. This Brevis guy is making some really unhinged, well, he is unhinged, first of all, sir. Some really unhinged threats on Discord. You need to know, be careful, he's a real, I know, I met him. Yes, he is weird. Gabriel says Brevis is actually Russ Bundo, and he's been making these threats for 8 years. Worse he's ever done was drive by Fazio's house. Leo from Frio says, did he owe the councilman of Florida heaps on back taxes for the messy Yeah, there was something going on with that for sure, yeah. Boomerang says Andy did a video. Tim K got served. Oh, is current? This was current, Boomerang? So Tim K comes back from his trip to America, thought everything was coming together for him, right? And he got served, great. Oh, Boomerang says somebody invited you to Discord. I said, I don't go to Discord. I know that a lot of people that you thought were very tame were not. Remember Chris and Sabu? Chris and Sabu would go to Discord, and he was not the character that walked around Fuente Square that we thought was a very tame, kind, humble person. Talking, hello, Mrs. Buttersworth from Arkansas. Hello, Tom from Poughkeepsie, New York. Oh, no. That guy was hell on wheels. I heard about his part on Discord. Chris was fucking deranged, man. He was. Okay, I want you guys to hang in there for about 3 minutes or so. That's right, I'm going to go out for a smoke. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Just if I bring the phone outside, I'll hit a kind of a dark spot where my signal will be a little bit disconnected. So why don't you guys talk among yourselves for a few minutes? That's exactly what I'm going to do. Exactly what I'm going to do. I'm going to influence my COPD that I'm supposed to have. Wishful thinking to many, but I proved that I did not. Boy, I could really go out of my way to prove things. I really think that's my bad thing. I always prove myself right, which I shouldn't have to do, but it sure pisses people off when they've made a blanket statement about me about something and I prove them to be wrong. I guess I'm pretty good at that. I guess I'm good at something, huh, guys? One last comment I'll read before the film, The Warriors, the guy with the bottles. Who does his eyes remind you of? Oh, reminds me of Crazy Eyes. So Tim K got served. I'll have to check that out, guys. Look at that, we got 55 strong at this hour. Thank you very much, guys. You've been a great audience lately. I mean, I'm sure some of it has to do with the fact that Fazio passed on. He's not doing any more shows, so it's kind of bringing more traffic to my show. But either way, it's okay. No matter how I got the viewers down here, it's absolutely appreciated, yeah. It's appreciated. It really is. And I say that with my heart. It's appreciated. As long as people behave on my show, everything is cool and copacetic, I'm fine with it. You saw how I took care of Scott Ingram, didn't I? Boy, I laid the law down on him, and I said it in a very kind way. Okay, I said it with, I think, very backed up information. I made him look in the mirror on himself, and he had to run away. Oh, I got a phone call. I better go now. He was laying it on me. Unfounded accusations, everything else. Comes on my show, on the attack. And he's saying that I do bad to other people on here. But what did he just do? He came on and attacked me. He was acting just like what he was accusing me of. Ain't that rich? Isn't that rich? Okay, give me a couple of minutes, guys. Actually, the truth is I gotta hit the fucking CR, okay? Nature does call in the morning, especially after I'm having tea. So you guys kind of talk among yourselves, and I'll be right back. It might be an interesting day today, actually, but we'll see. We'll see. Boy, that was quick, wasn't it, guys? Actually, I went out to have a cigarette, really. So I lied. Not initially, I didn't. See, I don't. Half a cigarette down, that's all I do. It's more of a nervous habit than anything else. Anyway, I am back. And as I said, let me read anything that I didn't read. Raining Cats and Dogs says a film. Okay, we got The Warriors. Okay. Bailey Stitch, what is up? Sky. Steinman says rickshaw, multiple myeloma, and renal failure, dead. Okay, listen, I want to verify that. And no, he hasn't been doing those shows. I'm familiar with what's going on with him. And I'm going to tell you about my predictions. I mean, some of it is based on common sense, but we're going to talk about that in about a minute here. Speaking of that, first of all, do you have any verification that Rickshaw died? I've heard somebody say that once before, but this is YouTube. A lot of rumors get spread. Yes, I know he had bone cancer of sort. I know he went for chemo, and I know he did mention when he did do a show that he was in the hospital that he had he was going to get kidney failure. That was a real big concern. You see how all of a sudden it hit him? So let me get to that topic now. A lot of things I say on here are made from common sense. I don't have the ability to predict somebody's future, although I have an uncanny way of, putting two and two together and figuring something out. Let's go through this list of things where my thoughts, or we want to call them predictions, based really on common sense, really, have come true. And I'm going to try to remember what I can here. A long time ago, even with Big Kevin, I said because of his weight, he was going to have some terrible knee problems. He did have to have operations, too. That came to be true. Let's go down the line. And not in any particular order. Not in any particular order, just randomly. Okay, Michael Fazio. I thought it was going to be 2023 that he would have kicked the bucket. I've examined his lifestyle, what he ate, the fact that he's been obese for a long time, and the fact that he had this infection that he thought was under control. If you ever remember his legs, and he showed those graphic pictures that made you want to puke if you were eating, he thought that things like distilled water would help and a change in diet or something. I knew of his demise. I knew it was coming. I just put all the facts together. I know a little about human physiology. I know a little about biology. And I use my education on such, and I don't need a degree to read. And you look at somebody's lifestyle. Well, it happened. I thought it was going to be in late 2023, from mid to late 2023, but I was wrong. But it did happen, didn't it? Let's look at Pennsylvania trucker in the heated argument, if you want to call it a heated argument between me and him. I says, you better be careful, man. Don't want to get into an accident with that truck. What happened? Pennsylvania trucker did have an accident, and he's kind of fucked up, and he's recovering. That's why he hasn't been on. He might make a comment every now and then. He's in recovery. Wow. Scary, isn't it? Okay, let's go down the line here. Let me think here. A lot of things I predicted came true. Okay, I knew that a particular character on here that was attacking me for a long time, I knew he was going to wind up incarcerated. Okay, but that's comes together with facts presented and things said and done and seen and all that. It wasn't really a prediction. It was something that was going to be a reality, and that did happen. Even though he claimed it would never happen to him, it happened. Did it, big time. Okay, there was Rickshaw. Yeah, I knew something was going to happen with Rickshaw. And I've even mentioned it on my show, because even from years ago, Rickshaw was experiencing some really interesting symptoms. And I have this theory also. Rickshaw was extraordinarily tall. He was like 6'10" or something. A lot of people with extraordinary height, well above the norm, they have a lot of problems. And I used to think of, because I used to watch his show here and there, and he'd be complaining of a lot of different health problems. I knew something was going to go down with that guy, and it did. Let's look at Ricky. Ricky is what, approaching 60 or so. Ricky has had a horrible diet the best of his life, which is apparent by his weight. Because of his weight and everything, Ricky has high blood pressure, and he's taking medication for other things besides high blood pressure. If Ricky takes a certain amount of drinks, he could pass out, and he even mentioned it one time. He had 5 drinks one time, and he was in a bad position. His blood pressure shot to the roof. It just shot up. It was very dangerous. Ricky does not eat proper foods. Ricky has been obese the best part of his life. So in combination with his lifestyle, not to mention his attitude, Ricky's probably next on the list based on my theories, or not really theories, based on basically common sense, really, on his lifestyle, his age, the drinking, all that stuff. Absolutely. Okay. Big Kevin, well, he's not out of the woods. Big Kevin still has a lot of weight to dispose of. Excuse me, I'm not looking at the comments at the moment. I'm actually staring across the room thinking. Big Kevin is, he's been obese for a very long time. As a result of that, he had to have knee surgeries and other things. He is on medications, numerous medications. He's approaching 62. And you keep in mind that he's been obese for a long time, which already has caused, surely, problems with his liver, having a fatty liver, a lot of fat surrounding, a lot of lipids and fat surrounding his heart. Big Kevin generally, especially when he had all his weight on, couldn't walk from his door over to the pond that he lives next to. Big Kevin, be on the list. I think Ricky's going to go first, and I think Big Kevin's going to be following. Now I can look at my... So Rick Shaw had multiple myeloma and renal failure, dead. All the talk of Fazio still, and no memorials to a man who died of cancer. Yeah, I haven't heard anything on Rick Shaw. So, can you tell me what's going on with his child that he had living with him? So, can I assume that his kid? Boy, you know how Rick Shaw used to end his show saying, Rick Shaw out? Another one bites the dust. It's getting scary. What's happening with his kid? Now, he did bring his family over. I imagine that they're all going back to the Philippines, including the child that he had stay with him. Can anybody kind of update me on that? He was 6'8". I thought he was 6'10", if you're referring to Rick Shaw. Boomerang says, Frank, did you share Mike Fazio dead pictures? I have came across them on a forum. No, I'm not going to do that. I have the picture right here. I'm not going to be that low like Popeye and the other people would do, or Roberto, or people of that nature. I didn't even like looking at it. Despite the differences we had, and believe me, there was a lot, you'd think I would get glory out of posting his dead photograph. I've never done that, and I never will. Never will. Okay, Steinman says, it looks like, yeah, he does have a brother out there, you're right. It looks like he has a brother, a family in the area. Yes, he does. So his situation isn't bad. He raised funds for Faye and his family to come, yes. I imagine his son will return with his wife after the funeral. Well, that's pretty sad. That's pretty sad. I didn't hate, hate's a strong word anyway. I didn't hate Rick Shaw. I thought that he bitched and whined quite a bit. He just didn't seem like a happy man. That seems to be the denominator on here with a lot of people. People are just not happy with their lives. And that's why they attack so many people, including myself. They attack me left and right. Anybody that's available or they think is vulnerable for attack, that's what they do. Rick Shaw, and I predicted that too. This is too fucking scary. Man, I'm on a roll here. It's just observation, guys. That's all it is. No special powers. It's observation. And if you've been on YouTube long enough and you've seen these people's shows and you heard everything they have to say and they shared some of their health problems, and you've got to take a big look at the big picture. Were they obese? That's a real critical one right there. There's a lot of obese YouTubers out there. I made an observation here. I went to, and no matter where I go, I see this anyway. I went to a Valentine's Day, we had a Valentine's Day outing at a resort, as you know, recently, if you've been following me. And I was, you didn't see all this on camera, but I've witnessed this, from being there. The majority, probably 75%, there was a lot of foreigners there, 75% of the foreigners were obese. They just looked like they looked like the walking dead. It just seems to be a pattern. And is it like the elephants that go, when they know they're dying, they go to this special elephant graveyard area to die? Animals, when they are sick, they will retreat in the corner somewhere or find a private spot. It almost seems that, and I use this expression with Statue of Liberty, give me you're tired, you're wretched, you're poor, is the Philippines. I did a show about that, exactly under that title, is Philippines an elephant graveyard. Brilliant, right? I see that. They come here with pre-existing health conditions, which they shouldn't do. Don't move to the Philippines if you've got some serious pre-existing health conditions. Don't do that. Steinmetz says, he looked pretty anemic and bad before he went to the hospital to find out what was wrong with him. It's like as soon as he returned to the States, his appearance looked sickly. Yeah, he seemed to have gone to hell. I said that I didn't think it was a good move for him to come back to the United States. I really didn't. He bitched and whined about everything in the Philippines because he just made some bad choices. The house that he built, I mean, wasn't much of a house. It was like a thin little structure. The rooms were like, really small. He had no water pressure, always fighting with the barangay or township or whatever you want to call it. And I got to sneeze. Sorry. I really do have allergies. If you never believed that before, believe it now. I do have allergies. So that was his mistake. He should have stayed there. But he also, too, was doing a lot of e-begging, getting money off people, and buying toys and buying things like guns and buying shit like that. People just don't know how to manage their money. Jeez. Raining Cats and Dogs says, is this not thing from olden days like doctors used to say, go to hotter climate for bad health conditions? That's according. They used to say, send your sinuses to Arizona. I used to see that on the commercials, for commercials for airline commercials, to try to get you to go to Arizona. Send your sinuses to Arizona, they'd say. Well, that wasn't true either. It didn't make any sense physiologically because they were saying that a really dry climate could clear up your sinuses, but that's not true. That's not true. You need a little bit of humidity to keep your sinuses moist. And I never understood that analogy of sinus problems and allergies. Go to Arizona where it's hot and humid. No, let me tell you a little secret. If I run my air conditioner at night, I have a small, very basic humidifier that many times I will use because the air conditioning is going to remove the humidity from the room too, besides cooling it off. That's why you see condensation on the outside of the air conditioner. It's removing humidity from the room. So if you have sinus problems, and even if you don't, it's going to dry out your throat, it's going to dry out your sinuses. So I compensate by now look, the room was humid to begin with, okay? That's another reason why I got the air conditioner on. You also want to get rid of the humidity. That's why I got the air conditioner on. But at the same time, you want to get cool. So you figure you can't have both, but you could have both. You could run that air conditioner. Yeah, it's going to make you feel comfortable by removing the humidity, but then it's the humidity that you actually need. So at least you're going to get cool from the air conditioner. You're going to get cool. So you remedy the problem by running a small humidifier in a room to compensate for the lack of any humidity in a room as caused by an air conditioner. Make sense? Oh yeah, dry air is bad for the throat, bad for the sinuses. Still got 45 strong here on here. We're killing it, literally killing it lately for my show. Don't get me wrong, there are people that have 1,000 people that view them at the same time. We're not on that same level. I accept that fact. I accept that all the time. I mean, it is what it is. Ready Cats and Dogs says, I've got a little weather situation clock. I think that tells you dry, comfort, humid. Yeah, I like to get one of those. I like to get a digital one. You can see at night even, red or blue, whatever. Something that can read out the barometer. It reads out all that shit. If you ever go to these little kiosks, if you want to call them that, in the malls, and they sell all these little gadgets. You ever see them in the malls? And they have all these gadgets there. One time, a little too expensive. I didn't want to buy it. I didn't want to spend. I could afford it, but I didn't want to buy it. I didn't want to spend the money on that. It was pretty big size, too. It read out, time and date, month. It read out the temperature, the humidity, barometer. Pretty cool little gadget. I should have just picked it up, really. I should have just picked it up. I got this tiny little thing. It's made of metal. It's not even working right. It's supposed to tell the temperature and the humidity level, but it's not accurate. But yeah, that would be a little gadget that I wouldn't mind buying. Lily Watts says, Sapphire Roma says, what is this? What is what? Lily Watts says, hi. Hi, Lily Watts. And since she says, what is your opinion on makeup? I already did a show on that, on makeup. Boy, I cover it all, Lily Watts. Just the other day, I did a whole thing about makeup on women. I went more than that. Why women wear pumps, why they paint their lips ruby red, phallic symbol. I did a whole show on that. Apparently you missed it. Too bad. Who's saying to be quiet to who? I don't understand. Raining Cats the Dog says, that's the one digital. Very good. It tells time and the temperature and the humidity thing. Yeah, I wouldn't mind having that. Well, I do got a Gcast. If you want to donate, we'll buy one. And we'll display it. Go to my description box. If you want to support my show, I said every time. I'm just going to mention it once on my show. I'm not going overboard like people. I'm definitely not e-begging. I'm just saying if you support the show. Right now, I'm not monetized, but there's one way you can give if you're in the Philippines, buy my Gcash. I also said that Gcash is only available to people in the Philippines. However, if you got Remitly or something like that, you can actually donate to the Gcash. So keep that in mind. So anybody wants to make a donation to support the show, you have an opportunity. You just go to my description box, and there is a number on there, and you can refer to that number. Thank you very much, and that's all we'll mention. We do it once a show. Oh, it's about female battle dress. No. Fav rapper. What does that have to do with anything? Fav rapper. Maybe this conversation is going on, people are blocked or something that I have no idea. That people are having these conversations and I have no idea what they're talking about. Rain Castles, yeah, it might be a good thing for monitoring your sinus health. Hello, Emily. Emily. Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show. Come along, come along. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Do, do, do. Do, 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 do. Forget about lyrics. Me and lyrics don't go together, guys. You ever see all these, unless you repetitively listen to a song. I've always loved when I watch a concert video. Everybody knows the word. If they're an avid fan of a band, they're all mouthing every single lyric, all the song, all the words. They got it down. I mean, they got it down. Especially the women. Everybody wants to be that singer on the stage. Everyone. Or they're actually singing along or they're mouthing the words for support, which is great. Isn't that really incredible that you create something that everybody can relate to and they know the words to your song? That's an honor, man. I mean, that's a huge honor. So you see all these concerts, the camera always goes to the audience and people are singing along, maybe not vocalizing it, but you see them mouthing off all the words. Combination. I want to be that rock star on stage. Or, out of respect, and I love the lyrics of your song, so I'm going to sing along with you, or just kind of mouth off the words with my lips. What an honor that is. Isn't that an honor? I think that's an incredible honor. Hellhole. Working hard to pick up dead vloggers subs. Oh, that's not my purpose. Hellhole? If they're coming to my channel, I'm, like the Pied Piper. I'm not being a Pied Piper here. If anything, it's chasing the snakes out of Ireland. And they're coming here. The snakes are being chased out of Ireland. They're coming here. Something wrong with that hellhole? Hello, Stitch You. So we're having a good show this morning, as usual. We've been having some great shows lately. Even the Swampcast channel, I'm sure, that's like scratching their heads saying, oh, shit. What could I say bad about him now? Because every show he's been doing has been very factual. I've been very eloquent in what I've been talking about. But they'll find a way. This is amazing. I've learned so much about human nature since I've been on YouTube. So in a way, it's been pretty incredible for me all these years because, damn, I learned a lot about human nature. Some things I never realized before. It would smack me in the face when I'd come on YouTube and make me realize what our world has turned into, especially the new millenniums, what they turned out to be like. But it's not really the millenniums. It's going back to Generation X and beyond that. Before that, everything coming to fruition. Remember, the sum of your life, how does that go? What you are is the whole sum of your life. Something like that. Who you are today is the summation of your life on what you have experienced. Makes you who you are today. So if you've been used and abused and hated and ignored, well, that's a formula Not for success. It's a formula to be pissed off at life and to be miserable with your life. Ouch, your dog stepped on a bee. I've done that 2 times in my life. And boy, that really hurt. Ouch, I bet that dog was screaming away and licking his wounds. I've stepped in dog shit, though. That was never pleasant. Speaking of dog shit, I can think of a video that comes to mind. Gotta admit, though, I am interesting. And that's not a narcissistic statement. I add some color to the YouTube community here. A lot of people can't do that. No, I'm not rubbing my nose. I'm not being narcissistic or anything like that. Just talking fact. I listen to shit on here. I know what's on here. If a channel is really relevant or not, I know it. There's not many relevant channels, but there are. I mean, maybe not the popular ones that you're used to hearing on the Philippines genre, vlogging genre, but there are really good, interesting shows out there. I mean, actually interesting shows that actually talk about something and they're not attacking people left and right because of their own serious inadequacies. How do you hate somebody that you never met and sat down and broke bread with? There's actually no one on here that I actually hate, and you'd be surprised to hear me say that, even this one person that you're very familiar with and his situation. I don't hate the guy. I just don't like him. And, for good reason. How's that for an honest statement? No, I don't hate the guy. I dislike him. I despise him. I don't hate him. Anything I do in regards to what he's done to me is simply a total need to do. Not a want. There's a difference between a need and a want. Sometimes in life you got to do things that you don't want to do, but you feel that it becomes necessary to do to put a halt to it. When people are persistent and they won't stop and they ruin your reputation. I'm just doing a little bit of sweep up here. The other one, yeah. All right, I'll get to that with the other one. I just happened to see this stuff on the floor. Decided to start it up or something. And we don't need this light on either. Okay, back at you. Let's see, how do I turn this around now? Okay, here we go. Let's see, what am I missing here? So, Hellhost says, I'm working hard to pick up dead vlogger subs. I'm not working hard to do that at all. The subs are coming to me. I didn't put a gun to their head and say, hey, you gotta come to my show and sub. That's a lame statement, Hellhost, so you have to go. Okay, Gabrielle says, hi, Hell. Say hi to Yellow Man. Oh, Blicky says, answer me, boy. And who are you talking to, Oh, Blicky, or whatever your name is, or Q Blicky, or Oh, Blicky? Answer me, boy. Answer what? I know, it doesn't make sense. If it doesn't make sense, you're off my show. People talking cryptic. I don't have time for cryptic shit. But Raiden says that his bee stepped on his dog. He's being an asshole, so he's going to be off my channel, being sarcastic. See how easy that is? To keep a clean show on here. We got these losers coming on here making lame statements. I don't have time for that. I'm getting too old for this shit. Anyway, guys, here's the deal. We might have something to talk about later on today. I can't confirm 125% what I'm going to be talking about later on, but as soon as I get definite information and it's verified, then I will share something with you later on today, hopefully today. I think it would be today, but I just can't do that right now because, as I said, on my channel I want to be factual. I don't want to spread a rumor or hearsay or any bullshit like that. I got to back up my statements. So with that being said, I might be on later on as soon as I get verification of something pretty important. I will let my viewers know. Fair enough? Yeah, so I'll be on probably later, but only if I got something to actually share with you. Hope you understand that. Anyway, it's been a really big shoe this morning. Really big shoe. I appreciate the amount of people that have come on my show and have consistently been coming on my show lately. Makes it more interesting when we've got a wider audience on here. Whether they're trolls or not, they're still coming to my show, aren't they? I have definitely arrived. What is this button here? Highlight, save to your channel, unlisted video. I don't know what that is. And what is this thing here? What is that? I got these features on a phone, and I really don't know what they are until I play with them. Okay, besides a cup of tea, I think I probably have to have something solid. Maybe I will make some muesli or something, or related cereal. Ain't that a kick? So, let me get this straight now. Can somebody provide verification that Rickshaw passed away? I saw that coming, but the minute I knew that he was going for radiation chemotherapy, and the minute he said he had to try to prevent his kidneys from shutting down, yeah, I knew that was a one-way ticket on that. But well prior to that, he was always having some kind of physiological problem. If you've been following Rickshaw, and I have, I don't watch every show of his. No, I never watched every show. Because he was just bitching and whining about everything. And I said, I got my own problems, you know. But I saw that coming too. I did. I saw that coming. And he had some scanning done, and he had some bad blood vessel activity in his brain. Maybe gave him some medicine. He said, well, it's looking better. Okay, well, hopefully it is for him. But I will tell you that anytime you have any kind of blood passageway to your brain that's being affected, with the blood vessels and stuff like that, it's not a good sign. And because of the fact that what encourages this happens when you have high blood pressure, and he has high blood pressure, bad. He needs to sleep with a CPAP machine so he could breathe at night. He's been overweight for a long time too. All this shit comes together, guys. You reach a certain age and you've got certain factors that will work against you, and it will. Now, Fazio, let's get something straight about him. I don't wish him ill in death. I just didn't really wish him good in life, because as much as people try to build him up because he died, he was not a righteous person. I'm just stating the facts. You can agree with me or not. Or you could disagree with me because maybe perhaps you just don't like me and don't want to listen to what I have to say, or listen to reason, or listen to truth. He was not a nice man. He lied to everybody. He lied about everything he did in his life, mostly. He scammed people out of money. He took tons of money off Warren Hunt. And some of the things he did, not only on the camera about me, and the mocking of me with the t-shirts and everything else, and what he did behind the scenes, and some of it was very public, but what he did behind the scenes with that tenant situation I had in Hawaii was absolutely vicious. So please, don't expect me to go take this high road like some of the wimps out there. The very people who had a history of attacking Mr. Michael Thomas Fazio, all taking the high road. I'm not taking no high road, not at all. I have no reason to take the high road. Call a spade, okay? He either did wonderful things for or to people, or he did not. Was he ever generous with people? Never. Generous with the locals? Never. Oh, you mean the thing about when there were blackouts or storm or whatever, that he provided a generator so they could go charge their phones? The fucker was charging them for gas. You don't know a lot of things. He'd argue with somebody in a trike over maybe a discrepancy of a couple of pesos or something. Lied about his hotel to make money. He did that to get people to come to his show so he could have something to talk about. He was not a righteous person, period. That's why I sit here chuckling and say, look at these assholes. The high road. Because somebody died, they're taking the high road. Trying to build up his life as if he had a meaningful life in any form. Like he didn't do bad to people. He did a lot of bad to people. He did a lot of bad to me. And I dare not come on YouTube and go on the high road with Mr. Michael Thomas Fazio. I will not do that. That's it. Okay, might be on later today with possibly some kind of an announcement. I'll let you know. Meanwhile, it's a great show this morning, and boy, we really tackled the idiots, didn't we? I study. We really did. Scott Ingram comes out of retirement somewhere and comes on my show. The first commenter was starting to attack me. But boy, did I have a lot to say to him that he didn't expect. Not yelling at him at all. I made him see the error of his ways, He couldn't back up any statement he made. He got so put off by this. That, oh, I gotta go. My phone is ringing. God. Harry Potter. Harry Potter? How do I look like Harry Potter? I don't even resemble Harry Potter. Not even remotely. My camera's not on. How do you know what I look like? Harry Potter? That's the most bizarre statement on a list I should put on there, what I look like. No, I look like an aging movie star, according to Brevis's girlfriend. So is that right? Brevis was attacking me on Discord, huh? Boy, that guy's got some problems, man. It'll all catch up with him. It all does. It all catches up. It all does. It just does. It just does. It just does.